So, welcome back to Urban Yoke. My name is Giulia, as some of you may know. If you don't know, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Um, I've put this video off for quite some time because a lot happened. Well, I thought I was kind of emotionally ready to share more about my Syringomyelia journey, the more like, this is the treatment kind of stuff. But going through it, I actually experienced quite a bit of, let's say, flashbacks and a bit of anxiety and all kinds of things. So that was intense, but I am ready now. So we'll go back to the beginning, and that will be back in winter, kind of February, when this began, and let's watch what happened then, and then we will come back at a later point, and I will talk a little bit more about what it was like for me, and why it took so long for me to make this video. Yeah. It's all the grubby stuff in terms of the emotions, right? The physical, I don't really care talking about, but it's the grubby emotions. They linger and make you feel like crap. So, yeah, let's go see the enthusiastic self that I was back in February. And, yeah. But before we do that, check out this view. Crazy, right? So, see you in a bit.
So I thought I would just do kind of a, I don't know, feelings going to the hospital. So I'm on the way to the hospital for the tests that I need to do. They're going to be checking the functionality of my nerves and my right hip. No, my right leg, my right hip, and like the nerves and the mobility and a whole bunch of things are, to get up at 5 this morning, catch a train at 6:30 to come here to Como, beautiful Como, and not sure what they're gonna find, if anything. But right now, yes, I'm feeling anxious, feeling nervous. Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way I'm kind of excited. It's been many years since I've had the opportunity to do a proper checkup and a deep dive into the pain that I experience. Maybe they do find that it's something other than just the Syringomyelia. Maybe they don't. Either way, it'd be good to have all of this stuff, all of these results. So it's a long journey, a long time coming. And yeah, that's all I can really say, I guess. I don't really know what else to say. Anyway, let me carry on with my walk and my relaxing music, and hopefully this doesn't take too long, but they say it's going to take a few hours, and I'll take videos where and when I can. Okay, hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm not sure what it's going to be or how it's going to look, but yeah, trying my best. Okay, later. So I'm on the train back to my place. It took not super long, maybe an hour and a half. I thought it would actually take a bit longer, but it didn't. So that's good news. How do I feel? I'm very tired and I have quite a bit of pain, but also nothing that I cannot deal with. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say right now. I think I'm just kind of processing it all, but for the most part it seems that the nerve function is fine and it's nothing crazy there. So I'm gonna go home, process, and then continue with this video. And yeah. Man, trains. This is one of the old trains. Pretty cool.
Hi, hello. And yeah, so I did in fact go ahead and kind of think about it. So reflected on the situation and how I felt about going through everything that I did. And as you already know from the start of the video, I really didn't want to continue talking about it. And so I found it really difficult to come back to the topic. I've been holding on to that footage since February. Yeah, I wanted to go home and reflect and then do this whole video on about, going to do the tests and how it made me feel, this whole spiel. But honestly, it's been really difficult talking about my relationship with my condition at the moment and with my disease. It feels pretty intense. And I don't know really what else to say in that regard, like other than it feels really intense. But I dug deep and I found some other words to help you guys, and I think it helps me as well get it off my chest, because letting it out into the world often makes things better. Not necessarily every time, right? But often just getting it out, even if you write it on a piece of paper and then burn the paper afterwards, at least you've released it to some degree. So I did some other tests afterwards. So let's go back. So I did that test where they were checking the functioning, like the motor function of the nerves. And if the nerves are functioning, that basically means that they send an electric pulse from the top of your head all the way down your body and then read the response. Now, for the most part, when they do the physical exam and check my legs, there isn't an equal response from the left and right side of my body. That's true for like the reflexes and a few things, but the nerve itself is fine. So all they told me was like the functioning is good and there's nothing else that we can do for you. A small part of me was hoping there was something that they could do, that there was something different, but the truth is that there wasn't. At the time, I felt pretty okay about it, and I thought, yeah, I would go home and I would just make this video, but I didn't. I sat and I wallowed in something that felt really, really intense to deal with. And that intensity came from years and years of, I don't know how to help you. I have moved beyond the we don't believe you stage. And I'm in the I don't know how to help you stage. It feels very overwhelming for that to be the case. It feels, I don't want to say let down. In a way I feel let down, but it's not entirely true, right? These are not people who owe me anything. They're just individuals doing their job. I think it's more the system. It has taken me that long to work through different systems just to get the same answer of, yeah, I don't know how to help you. And that was very frustrating. I keep thinking like maybe if they find something extra, I would be able to move on from this madness. You know, if they found something that they could actually fix to some degree, then it would alleviate some of my symptoms. I don't expect for them to all disappear. That's just madness. The damage is done, right? But for some of it, like the daily nausea, the insomnia, the never-ending feelings of, how can I say, like a numbness, right, that exists. It's not quite numbness, but it could be. It's like an indifference to parts of my body. And yeah, that is rough. That is frightening. So that's partly why I didn't continue. But then I had to do the MRI test, or the MRI scan, sorry. And that led me to think, okay, I'll do the MRI scan. I'll do some filming because I was going to go alone anyway. Then I could film. Hello, Luna. Then I could film and give everyone an opinion about everything. So on the way to the MRI exam, I just started feeling a bit anxious, and I thought it's better for me just to remain within my space. It just started coming back, and I was really, really uncomfortable. And then I went in to do the MRI. The first machine I went in was an older one, so it's closed off at the back and it's really tight. Almost immediately had a panic attack, and I had to ask them to let me out. I could not deal with being in there. It was genuinely frightening. I just burst into tears, and I was shaking, and I felt so alone, and I felt so vulnerable, and all of those feelings of just like being alone in hospital, or going to tests by myself, and the constant I don't know, and years of thinking that I'm a burden, years of feeling like people could do better without my bullshit. All of that kind of came through, but it was mostly just this terror of being inside that tube again. So they made, when I went to the hospital, they understood, but they couldn't give me a sedative. Apparently it's something that you have to ask another doctor for, because the radiology technicians are not allowed to prescribe anything. So I had to wait for the newer machine, and that was a much better experience. It's open at the back. It's a little bit more open, the whole machine. So that was a much better experience, and I feel that technician was also more calming. He just had a much better vibe, if I can say, about him. So that said, it took forever to get an MRI done, and for me to see a pain therapist and do any of that stuff. And the results were kind of meh, but also cool. So, it's in this weird gray area of nothing was really done, but something did happen. And this is very much why I didn't continue the video before. I was just dealing with coming to terms with my disease, my condition, yet again. It was a secondary or even tertiary phase of acceptance, like the anger, denial, acceptance, the whole vibe of just coming to terms with the fact that this is the future. Mostly because I had a lot of hope that I would find some more answers here, but to be honest, even though there's associations and people that I could contact and I haven't contacted yet, it's hard to push past that. So I will, not just for myself, but for the sake of other people in this position, I will try and contact those groups and push myself a little bit to be part of that community and help in whatever way that I can. I'm no longer interested in finding something that could help my symptoms other than what I know does.
And I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to stick to the stability I found because it's the happiest I've ever been, and I'm gonna do that, and that's really all there is to it. So, all of that said, I am very happy that now I have my license, so I can drive to the hospitals, which makes things a lot easier from where we are. And then the second thing, basically, is the pain therapy in itself. When I initially moved to Italy, my plan was to go to the doctor and then go through the process of finding the pain specialists and doing all of that jazz. Now, because of how the system works, you cannot just go to a specialist unless you pay out of pocket. Because here you pay basically taxes to be able to use the healthcare system. There are some things that you need to pay, such as for the MRI exam, I had to pay 36 euros. So it's not a lot of money that you have to pay, but so the majority of it is subsidized by the taxes that you pay. And I knew that I was going through this system also because I'm a citizen, so it would take a long time, but I fell pregnant, and so we had to put that on hold. Then I went to the doctor afterwards and said, hey, I cannot do this anymore. I'm in a lot of pain. I need something to actually help with the pain. I don't have any pain meds, and I'm struggling with my day-to-day. Which meant that I had to stop breastfeeding, obviously, because you cannot be on pain medication while breastfeeding. But because of the type of condition I have, no one wanted to prescribe just anything, and I had to go through the whole process before I could be prescribed something. Eventually, I had to see three neurologists, but in total 2 neurologists that gave me a report saying that THC therapy is recommended because I was already using that in South Africa and it was working. And they said, let's stick with what works instead of messing with the system. And I agreed with that, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So the one neurologist, because I needed the appointment for the driver's license as well, we paid for that privately, and that was 122 euros for a private 15-minute session. It's really just a chat. There was no exam. Then the other one, I went through the normal systems where I got the script to have the appointment from the house doctor, basically. And then after speaking to that neurologist, she did a full exam as well. She sent me for a few tests, and I did the tests, and then I took the MRI test, the 2 reports from the neurologist, and the various other neurology tests that I had to do. I took that with me and met with the pain therapist. So I first went to pain therapists at Valduce Hospital in Como, and they were fine, but I guess just not much hope, right? All they can really do is assess your pain level and then prescribe the pain medication that you can do. So that is really their function. And because of the condition and the way that I present, there really is no information on how to go about that. So that was unfortunate. But I was then referred to Santa Anna Hospital, which is also in Como, and it's a bit of a newer hospital, and they do things a little bit differently. And I've been to that hospital twice for myself. So I went to that department there. I did like the hospital. It's much more modern, so it kind of gives you a bit more of a, hygienic, easy feel. Not that that's really like anything to go by, but it's just because it's so modern and so new, it just feels cleaner. And those doctors were fine. I saw 2 different doctors and a few different nurses. Again, people who had never worked with someone who has my condition, or in the very least presenting the way that I do. So they were very much leaning on what I had to say and the fact that they had the reference from the neurologist. So then I was prescribed THC therapy, and that means cannabis oil here in Italy, which I get a prescription for every month, and I have to get it at a specific pharmacy because as far as I understood from the pharmacist, THC oil in itself is delivered by the military because it's a highly regulated substance in Italy. Cannabis, marijuana, weed, the electric lettuce, it is still illegal in Italy for recreational use and illegal for willy-nilly medicinal use, right? You can get CBD and that's really it, but CBD just gives me like heavy munchies and doesn't really do anything. It's barely a placebo. So THC therapy it is. I finally got what I asked for. It took over a year to get all of the appointments, to go see all of these people, and to eventually get the prescription for the cannabis oil. Luckily, fairly close by, there is a pharmacy where the THC oil is prepared and can be picked up. So that's kind of like one small mercy. The way that the system works is you have to constantly get referrals. You cannot just do something. For example, I would likely have not gotten the THC oil if I didn't go to a neurologist first, and the neurologist said, oh yes, we do recommend THC oil, because the pain therapists, they're going on the recommendation of the specialist that is actually following your condition. And there's multiple people following your condition, and those multiple people have to sign off on a new therapy, whether it's in their wheelhouse or not. But a neurologist, even though they recommend it, they cannot actually prescribe it. Only the pain therapist can prescribe it. So it becomes a difficult system to navigate. If you're going privately, it is a bit different. You can get a fair amount done if you just pay for it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. However, as the way that I've gone about it, it is a tedious system. So if you are coming here to go about getting surgery, or you're moving here and you want to get the pain medication that you used to, my biggest suggestion in that regard, my advice is bring extra with you of what you can legally bring into the country. Now, obviously, you can't just bring weed or cannabis oil because you will be flagged, but you do need to bring that in. Whatever you can bring it with you, have extra. And if it's something like, I guess like a Tylenol in the States, that's a pretty common thing that I think a lot of people around the world know the name of. But, if it's some sort of opioid, then there's a good chance that the house doctor assigned to you would be able to prescribe it for that short while. Other than that, if it's a bit more intense, you would need to have a specialist prescribe it for you. And that is possible, but like I said, it will take a while. Waiting times can be a very, very long time. And if you're willing to move around and go to different hospitals, you can limit what that time is depending on how specialized you need the service to be, right? So for me, it's really pain therapy, and there's only 2 hospitals in the province that can kind of help, or considered places that can kind of help, and I went to those 2. So that's really it. So would I say it's a good system? It's an alright system. I mean, the fact that there is a system is fantastic. But it's got its problems. I get really frustrated. I feel like I'm not heard most of the time, and I feel like it can be extremely difficult to navigate the system entirely. But for the most part, I would say that it's okay. It's got its moments. It's not easy. It's a lot of bureaucracy, but if you're willing to get through it, you can. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's my reflection on what happened. like I said, I'm actually in that phase of dealing with it still. I wish I could give more, but if you want to know specifics, let me know in the comments. And yeah, this was a good chat, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao!